know you had a lot of ball on the weekend, mate, but this is the stuff we love to see. This is your pressure acts and your pressure points, and you're leading the way in that area. It's great to see because we know you put in the work, but also just wanted to check with you. Have you been returning Bossie's calls? Did you get his call yesterday?
No, I didn't.
Oh, weird. Cute little voicemail that says otherwise.
Hi, this is Cooper.
Hi Cooper, it's Michael here from Carlton. I'm just wondering whether you can give me a call back. Just wanted to let you know that you're playing your first game against West Coast.
G'day guys, welcome to another video on My Blue Heaven. Thanks for dropping by. I haven't talked about Carlton for about a month now. It's been rather nice. I've been doing a little bit of travelling around to local football grounds, and I'll continue to do that. I really enjoy that. I completely understand it's not everyone's cup of tea, but they're the types of things I like to do. But there's nothing like sinking your teeth into some Carlton chat, and that's where I'm going to take this video today. It's not going to be a long one. That clip I shared at the start of this video, which all of you will understand, was when Adam Cerra and Michael Voss announced that youngster Cooper Lord would make his debut in the second last game of the season against the West Coast Eagles. The game where we had 6 changes, all through injury, and we were decimated by injury. Ashton Moyer debuted as well, and Jackson Binns came in for his second game for the football club. First game, seriously, like a serious first game, considering he only had a quarter against Geelong when he made his debut at the MCG earlier on in the year. And then we had 3 other players come in, so we were decimated, went across to the West and had a win, and Cooper Lord played quite well in his first game. I think he had 15 touches. And kept his spot for the following week in the last game of the year against the Saints. I'm not necessarily here to talk about Cooper Lord because we know his story, mid-season draft pick. Felt like he was only at the club for probably a month, played 4 or 5 VFL games, missed out on the national draft the year before, overlooked. God only knows how he was overlooked, really. Looks to have a bright future. Sandringham Dragons, premiership player with them, and then went to North Melbourne, the VFL, where he was dominating really in terms of picking up possessions through the midfield for the Kangaroos at VFL level, and then Nick Austin called his name in the mid-season draft, and we blinked and he was making his debut, mostly because we were really decimated with injury. I'm not here to talk about Cooper Lord because that clip came up on my socials for some reason last week, and I'd seen it before, but I hadn't really taken a hell of a lot of interest at it other than listening to what Adam Cerra was saying in regards to Cooper Lord, saying that, he'd impressed with his pressure acts and all the things that they rate in regards to being a midfield player, particularly an inside midfielder, and that's what he is. He's an inside midfielder, a real workhorse, but he's got a bit more than that, Cooper Lord, so it's going to be exciting to see how his career pans out at the Carlton Football Club. But the thing that struck me about this video was the boy that was sitting next to him in the auditorium that morning or afternoon, whatever time it was of the day at Princes Park when that announcement was made, and that's one of the other first-year players at our football club, Billy Wilson. So there were 2 players who were making their debut in the second last game of the season. One was Cooper Lord, mid-season draft pick, and the other was Ashton Moyer, who was taking, I think, 4 or 5 picks, may have been 6 picks earlier than Billy Wilson in the same draft. The South Australian. And I looked at Billy Wilson's reaction when Voss said that Cooper Lord would be making his debut. And it didn't, the first time I saw it, I didn't really take much notice of it, but I really looked at it second time around. And although he looks kind of happy, it looks to me, and I don't want to make any assumptions here, it's only a wild guess and it doesn't really matter, and it's not factual, but I feel like I'm a decent, I think anyone is really, a decent reader of facial expressions and body language and all that type of stuff. I'm not an expert in the field, but to me, although he looks kind of happy, it looks a little bit forced. And if you look sort of closely at him towards the end of that clip, he looks really fucking pissed off. And I mean pissed off. And this is not a knock on Billy Wilson. In fact, I really like him. I went and watched him play live down at Werribee. When he played, I think his best game, he had 27 touches. He was clearly our best player in the VFL against the eventual premiers, Werribee, back in round 6. And I said after that game, I did a bit of a preview on the VFL. I said it won't be long before this kid, Billy the Kid, will be making his debut based on that type of form. And his season at VFL level was super consistent. And maybe there wasn't a actual spot for him in that team, but fuck, we were just decimated. It was a real surprise that he didn't come in. And he was one of 8 players, which is amazing, really amazing state, one of 8 players who didn't crack it for a senior game. And some of those were like Jack Silvani, who was injured at the start of the year, Hudson O'Keefe, who was injured for the most of the year, Rob Monaghan was never going to play, Don McHugh was probably never going to play, and Alex Murkoff and Matt Carroll was injured for the most of the year. And the only 2 that realistically were really unlucky was Harry Lemmy and Billy Wilson. And I got no doubt in my mind he was fucking pissed off that he didn't get a crack, didn't get to make his debut. They'd set goals, these kids. They really would. They'd set a goal at the start of the year that I just want to get an opportunity. I want to play well at VFL level, play consistent football, do all the right things and earn my spot. And when the opportunity came for a guy that was picked up in the mid-season draft, and this is like Cooper Lord's form was really good. But he was granted the opportunity to play in the midfield one and plays a different position at the time. But Ashton Moyer's form, he couldn't, basically at VFL level, he couldn't get a kick in a karate movie. He was terrible. And Binns obviously came in for his second game, and really he deserved another opportunity, Jackson Binns. But Billy Wilson was just like so unlucky. He must have been really close given our injury debacle. So picked 34 in last year's national draft, and elite speed, really good user of the football, great balance. We know the story. He played 13 games at VFL level and yielded 245 disposals, which is nearly 20 disposals a game, which is great going. And I mentioned that game against Werribee. He had 6 games where he had 20 plus disposals, 20 plus more disposals in a game. And I said, this kid will make his fucking debut. And this is when we were healthy. But it never came. And he'd had every reason to be pissed off at not making his debut. And I reckon it showed in that video clip. And good on him. I reckon good on him. That shows to me that he's a fucking competitor and he really wants it. And I don't know the kid from a bar of soap, but I hope when these first to 4 year players return to training, I think it's next week, and then when the senior players return, and I reckon most of them return at the same time, isn't that, don't they blow that up? Oh, look who's returned. We've got Zach Williams training, he's come back early, and Mitch McGovern's back early. Look, these guys are sick of being at home and they want to train, so they come to training. So let's not make a big deal of the senior blokes coming back at the same time as first to 4 year players at all. But I hope this kid, Billy Wilson, returns with a real fucking fire in his belly and a real angriness about him. I hope he returns with a massive chip on his shoulder, because I truly believe he's got something that we lack. And this is the thing. I hope, or I demand, no, I don't demand, but I hope, given our lack of speed and given the players that we've released, plotters, let go at the football club, I hope, given that, like a spark, energy, speed through the midfield of the ground, and we know what our strengths are through there, that he, Billy Wilson, gets a real fucking opportunity, and I mean a real opportunity, and I'll be keeping a close eye on this when we do, as supporters, get that one opportunity to go along and watch an open training session, that he trains for the whole pre-season with the midfield group. And then if he's not good enough, which is probably going to be the case, because it's still a very strong midfield group. We've got pick number 3 in this year's national draft, which we are no doubt going to take either a Finn O'Sullivan, if he's available, or a Sid Draper, who could probably just walk into senior football next year and make our midfield a lot stronger. But we still need something different through there. And I want this kid to get that opportunity to train, because it's about time our club puts the money where their mouth is. Because when someone like Billy Wilson is recruited to the football club, and I'll read it shortly, they pump him up as, okay, he's been playing some halfback at Coates Talent League level and in the Victorian country team at the national championships. He's an accumulator across halfback with his speed and his bounce and his agility and all that type of stuff. Good composure. But we see him in time as a midfielder. In fact, also they said, this is what Nick Austin said about Billy Wilson. We love how Billy conducts himself both on and off the field. So we're delighted that we've been able to welcome him to our football club via the draft. He's a really damaging user. How good's that? Do we ever hear that about our midfielders? A damaging user of the football? Is that bullshit or is that real? Does Nick Austin really believe that? Is he a damaging user of the football? He probably is. I think he is. So let's see it in the middle of the ground. Who has already shown at such a young age that he's more than capable in a number of positions around the ground, whether that's as an inside or outside midfielder, as well as across the halfback. Halfback flankers, back pocket players, no disrespect. They're important, particularly good distributors, but they're a dime a dozen. Let's train him up early to see if he's got what it takes to give us an extra dimension through the middle of the ground. I just hope we do it. And even if he's not ready at the start of next year, which he probably won't be, he's more than likely he's not going to be ready just to walk into our midfield. He gets that opportunity throughout 2025 at VFL level. In that VFL team that we have, that he gets to play serious midfield minutes every week at that level. Let's see what he's got, because I'm so sick of hearing this, that we see this guy as a midfielder in time. He's a damaging user, he got elite speed and all this type of stuff, but we want to have 150 fucking halfback flankers. And once again, that's no disrespect to that position on the ground, but he's young. I reckon he's going to be fucking pissed off that he can make his debut. So let's see what he's got. Let's let him go head to head with Cooper Lord. Let him go head to head with the number 3 draft pick that comes in. Okay, and see whether he can play that position, because obviously that's one of the reasons why he was drafted to the football club with pick number 34 in the national draft. Tell me what you think. Am I out of line? Or is it time this football club starts to put some real fucking faith in the youngsters. Speak soon.